Hey, John. Look, this is not a funeral. This is not a retirement. This is just a transition. But I just want to thank you on behalf of generations of Barker residents, Longcope residents, patients, colleagues, and staff for all you've done as Barker Firm faculty leader. Hard to imagine we've known each other since you arrived as an intern over 20 years ago, and we've had lots of great times. Longcope, Grand Canyon, ACS year with the John Sperati Throne of Medicine, and many times in the MICU and beyond. But again, I'll save a lot of those stories, not to mention Malaysia. Let's not forget Malaysia. I'll save those stories for another occasion down the road. Thank you for all you've given to Barker, and we'll continue to love working with you as a clinician, as the fellowship director, and as an esteemed member of the Osler faculty. Thanks a lot, John.
Congratulations, John, on completing your tenure as Barker Firm faculty leader. Now, I don't think you were Barker Firm faculty leader back when I was ACS, and thank goodness, because that was a long time ago. But I look forward to continuing to work with you on heme renal collaborations like thrombotic microangiopathies, which are just the best disease ever. Gotta get my heme plug in. All right, congratulations again.
John, I want to thank you for your time and support as firm faculty leader on Barker. I can say without question that you are truly the physician that we all hope to be. It is your incredible knowledge, your calm, your confidence that really embodies equanimitas. I am incredibly grateful for everything I learned from you and wanted to model from you as both ACS and honestly as I continue in my career. You really do just represent everything that is the Osler program, and I think that we are all better for having had you as firm faculty leader. Certainly Barker was incredibly fortunate to have you in that role, and I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for your particular help as ACS, and just recognize your contribution both to my own career but also to the countless residents and other ACSs that have been fortunate to train and be Barker under your guidance. So thank you.
Hey John, congratulations on an incredible run as firm faculty leader. You've had an incredible impact on countless residents and ACSs in this role. And on a personal note, you and Sanjay were kind of always my go-to, and I always looked up and respected you such a tremendous amount. So congratulations again, and you're going to be missed in this role, and I'm excited to see what you're going to be doing next.
So I have several stories about Sperati, but I'll start with one of my favorite days from ACS year. And we had a plan. I believe it was a Friday because I was Osler scarf adorned and Sperati had his tie on. And when Dr. Sosnane, Dr. Sperati, Dr. Althoff, Dr. Rampalo, and Dr. Wiener and I had crafted a plan, and we had matinee tickets to the opening of The Force Awakens at the Senator Theater. And that was fine for our group, except Sperati and I were both on service, as frequently was ACS year. At one point we saw each other, we kind of locked eyes on Nelson Four and Kurt Nod and just were powering through. I was pretty proud of myself. Number one, I told my SARS I had a meeting and I had a hard stop for rounding, and I made it to the theater. Rushed there, still had my scarf on, but I was there. I was pretty proud of that. I was, schooled pretty quickly because not only had Sperati been able to change, but he had a Wookiee jacket on, looked like a Wookiee, and handed me a beer. It was a pretty great day.
I can think of many great stories with John that I think back to my time at Hopkins, and there aren't many memories without John. But I'll pick one from our intern year together. And actually, this was July of our intern year. We were on case 0.5 together. And one of the things you do on case 0.5 is you go on home visits, so nursing home visits. And we went on a nursing home visit to some house in East Baltimore. And I'm very eager and I want to help, and we're trying to draw blood. John just plops down on the couch, and he's plopping down on the patient's couch. And there's actually, the patient's got a roommate, and the roommate was nonverbal. He was called Stump. I think you can imagine why. John just proceeds to sit down and watching TV with Stump. So I'm helping the nurse out. We're trying to draw blood. And John's watching TV, and the People's Court comes on. And John turns to Stump and says, it's just not the same since Wapner left. And Stump nods vehemently in agreement. So that was probably one of the more safe for work Sparati stories that I can tell in this venue. There are plenty others.
There was that other day, though, that I would say was one of my favorites with Sparati. Do you remember the date?
I don't know if I remember the date, but I can ask Dazubi and she'll remind me.
When John married us outside the Dome. We love you, Sparati.
Congratulations.
Hey John, just wanted to send a big thank you for all you've done for everybody as the Barker Firm faculty leader, with a special shout out from the class of 2016-2017.
John, thank you for everything you've done for the Barker Firm. And for me personally, thank you for your leadership, your mentorship, and your friendship, especially throughout ACS year. And especially for not blurting out the answer during firm grand rounds, even though you probably cracked the case within the first 5 minutes yourself. Thanks again for everything.
John, thank you so much for your unwavering leadership of the Barker Firm faculty. I wish that we had been able to interact more with you and the other firm faculty during my years in ACS, but unfortunately the pandemic made that very difficult. Nonetheless, I really appreciate how supportive you were of our Barker social events in the last few months of the year when pandemic restrictions finally eased. You very generously allowed me to use part of your firm faculty leader funds to try to make up for the lack of in-person social events throughout the rest of the year. I've always enjoyed your dry wit, and I think it was reflected perfectly in the Turkey Rounds video during our year in which you roamed the hospital with a ferocious mask and a sharp pair of scissors cutting interns' long coats down to size. Thank you for your fair stewardship of the firm of choice.
John, congrats on an incredible run as the Barker Firm faculty leader. One memory about you that sticks out is when Charlie and Sanjay both told me at a point in time that I reminded them of you. And I never knew what to make of this, but then during my time as ACS, I got to witness firsthand your leadership, your intelligence, your methodical approach to any problem. And I thought back and I said, gee, that was some really high praise. However, Charlie and Sanjay were later quick to point out that they just thought I looked like you, and I didn't possess any of those other qualities. Thank you for your many years of service, your mentorship, and your tireless commitment to the Barker Firm and the OSLER residency program.
Hi, Dr. Sparati. I can't thank you enough for everything that you've done for us this year as our Barker Firm faculty leader. It's truly been the honor of my life to serve as your last Barker ACS. You are truly a living OSLER legend. And whether it's dropping knowledge bombs about specific gravity after contrast administration during our firm grand rounds, or teaching us about kidney biopsies in a way that actually makes sense, your contribution to education for the residents is truly unparalleled. Thank you so much for putting up with my increasingly frantic 1 a.m. multi-paragraph emails about our various social events, and also just for your grace and your humility in serving as our firm faculty leader. And I will say that even though we were totally robbed of a Turkey Rounds victory this year, your cameos, whether it's from Barker Juice to acting in Top Gun this year, have been completely unparalleled. Again, I can't thank you enough. We will miss you so much, and thank you so much for everything that you've done for the program.
A few thoughts about Dr. John Sparati. Given the time, I'll just stick to some highlights. John is really the consummate firm faculty leader. This is not because of his exceptional skills as a clinician, educator, and teacher, which of course he has a little bit of those things, but really it's because of attributes that are far more meaningful. As firm faculty leader, John really demonstrated by example how to be a physician, how to always continue to learn, how to always continue to teach, even if it takes 5 or 6 iterations for some of us to understand sodium balance, how to lead a group guided unwaveringly on principle and values. Again, no matter what challenges certain surveys or viral pandemics may present to all of us. But really the one I wanted to comment on most notably is the reason we would always want him to be leading our residents. And that's because he shows us how to care for patients with humility, with dedication, compassion, and complete ownership. I observed this as a colleague, as a friend, and really truly understood John's exceptionalism from a different lens. And that's when my father fell ill and I turned to John. He cared for him for years through a complex illness and until he passed. I learned more about John during that time than ever before. Mostly I learned that's what's even more important to us as patients and families than having someone there as a role model for others that are training is just to be there when no one else is watching. John's impact on countless Barker House staff and on me and my family is impossible to describe. So congratulations to Dr. John Sperati. I'm very proud that I have him as a co-resident, as a co-ACS, as a co-faculty member, and as a hero in so many ways to so many house staff, colleagues, and me personally. Thank you, John.